It's another edition of Time About the Movies, and today we're taking a look at the 3 films of September 7th, 2007. And by the way, yeah, it's very rare that I wear a long-sleeve shirt, but if you're not too familiar with what's going on in the news right now, the weather outside here is pretty cold. Not as cold as it's been the last couple of nights, but temperatures are definitely down below freezing, and I figured why not wear this Christmas gift I got. I'm going to wear it sooner or later. I don't wear a lot of long-sleeve shirts, so I know this is going to feel very unusual for you people out there, but yeah, just wanted to bring that up real quick. But in terms of the movies that we have this week, we have a remake to a classic Western. We have a comedy from Bob Odenkirk, his second in the last year with Will Arnett, and a action comedy with Clive Owen and Paul Giamatti among the cast in it. But before we get to those movies, though, let's talk about the biggest new release of the weekend, and that is James Mangold's remake of 3:10 to Yuma, starring Russell Crowe and Christian Bale.
It's probably cheaper just to let me rob the damn thing.
See which way you rode, Evans?
Like they were headed to Bisbee.
Hands up.
22 robberies, over $400,000 in losses.
Y'all notice he didn't mention any of the lives I've taken.
We will have Ben Wade convicted and hanged, and we will pay to make it happen.
I'll come.
So, boys, where are we headed?
Taking to the 3:10 to Yuma day after tomorrow.
Shouldn't have told him that.
Relax, friend. Now if we get separated, I know where to meet up.
He's a killer, Daniel.
Then someone will have the decency to bring him to justice. I want to come with you.
Well, you can't. What are you doing out here, Dan? You got a family to protect.
Well, talk to me like you know me, Wade. We ain't friends. I told you to stay home. I left home.
You turn around right now.
Your boy ain't protecting you. He's following me.
You say one more word, I'll cut you down right here.
I like this side of you, Dan.
You're so sure that your crew's coming to get you?
You're lost without him. Like a pack of dogs without a master.
Where'd they take him?
I don't know. Get me out of here!
Sure as God's vengeance, they're coming.
Coming this way, I've seen him. There's gonna be 30, 40 more guns out there now. Boss, you in there?
Sorry, mister, but I'm not gonna die here today.
It's just you left, Dan. Just you and your boy.
This town's gonna burn! Call them off.
Why should I?
Because you're not all bad.
Yes, I am.
And just remember, that your old man walked Ben Wade to that station when nobody else would.
So in 3:10 to Yuma, you have Russell Crowe as a notorious outlaw who is taken to justice by Christian Bale, who plays a rancher impoverished by drought, and takes on this dangerous but lucrative job of taking him to justice, even though even though chaos is usually bound to happen here. This is actually the second. This is, of course, the second adaptation of Elmore Leonard's classic 3:10 to Yuma. The first one was the 1957 film with the same name. And this is James Mangold's follow-up to Walk the Line, which was a really good movie. And if you know who James Mangold is, you pretty much know that he's usually reliable when it comes to making movies. And yeah, this is definitely one of the better underrated remakes that has come out around this time period. This was also a time where, what the hell was that I just did? I was like slurring my words there. I was just like, ugh. I don't drink, by the way, so that's just on me. But as I was saying, this was kind of at a time when, you know, Westerns were coming back into form. I mean, I think Open Range started that a couple years prior, but it took a while for them to get a really good one out of the gates, and this was a really good year for that, because we had this, and then later on we'll have Assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford, and then and then the next year we'll have Appaloosa, and a couple years later the remake of True Grit. Western was making a comeback back then, and this is definitely one of the examples of a really good Western overall. This was a really good movie, and like I said, it's one of the most underrated remakes ever made, because it was a hit when it came out, but it's largely been forgotten since then. I don't think a lot of people ever talk about this movie, but It's a really damn good movie. Russell Crowe and Christian Bale work off each other so well. You know, you got a great cast that includes Peter Fonda, Ben Foster, Alan Tudyk, Logan Lerman, Gretchen Mol. They work off each other very well here. It's a really engaging and intense movie with these two heavyweight actors coming together and making for a really good movie. And really doing something that's not just the same movie that had been made before. It's a different kind of film overall. I think it works very well as a whole. I think it's a very entertaining film. It's definitely one of the better remakes that came out, and easily one of the best movies that came out in 2007. It's one I highly recommend checking out, 310 to Yuma. So with that said, let's go ahead and move on to our next movie, and that is Clive Owen in Shoot 'Em Up.
Who are you, Mr. Hero?
Huh?
Oh, you're a wicked rabbit. Rated R. Starts September 7th.
So yeah, this is a very, very odd movie. It's an action film, but it's also kind of an action comedy because this is basically Clive Owen playing kind of a Bugs Bunny type of character if he was in an action movie, and I guess Paul Giamatti's supposed to be Elmer Fudd. I mean, you hear lines in the trailer, in that commercial there, that are literally lines that the Looney Tunes, that Bugs and Elmer would say to each other. Like in the movie, you know, but there's even a scene where Clive Owen literally tells Paul Giamatti, "What's up, Doc?" And Paul Giamatti's just like, "Oh, you wascally rabbit." Like, but in the film, you have a Smith played by Clive Owen, who's a drifter and a former Black Ops soldier who rescues a newborn from being killed by an assassin, played by Paul Giamatti and his henchmen, and he enlists the help of a prostitute played by Monica Bellucci to help keep the baby safe as he unravels the conspiracy. And it's a very weird movie. It's one of the odder movies I've ever seen, because when I saw this movie in the theater when it came out, and I thought it was just okay. I thought it was an overall enjoyable film when it came out. I had not seen it since then. It's been almost 20 years since I've seen this movie, and I'll say this, it is definitely not held up well. There's some stuff in here that does work, but yeah, it's definitely not the great film that I thought it was back then. It's definitely a very cluttered film that doesn't really know exactly what type of angle it wants to go with here. Does it want to play more on the comedic aspects? Does it want to be just a straight-up action movie? So much stuff happens in this movie that makes no sense whatsoever. There's a part where, you know, this lady leaves, Clive Owen's character leaves the baby in a park and hopes that somebody will take the baby, but every time they do that, somebody gets killed as they do it. I think, is it just like, it really doesn't know exactly what type of a movie it wants to be. Like, it just keeps going in these different angles of whether or not it wants to be a comedy or a straight-up action movie or a straight-up action comedy. It can't tell which one is which, and I think it really struggles to find the right angle to make for a really entertaining film as a whole, and it really is just all over the place. It's a film that just has so much going for it, whether it's good or bad, but it just feels so off on a number of different areas, and I don't know. I really didn't find a whole lot to really gain from it when I watched it again. I mean, like I said, I liked it back when I saw it in theaters in 2007, but 20 years later, I think there's a lot of stuff in it that doesn't really hold up all that well. The action's not that great. Their attempts at comedy is very hit and miss, and I don't know, like Paul Giamatti, I think, is only the one that's really carrying the load here and making something fun out of it, but Clive Owen and Monica Bellucci, I think, are trying a little bit too hard to keep this together, and yeah, it's a film that definitely has not held up well in the 20 years since I've seen it. It's a film that I think was better back when I saw it, but it has definitely not held up well over time, unfortunately. And if you want to talk about movies that have really not held up well over time, let's talk about our last movie, and that is Bob Odenkirk's second film in the year that he directed, and that is The Brother Solomon, this time starring Will Arnett, and along with him is Will Forte.
Everything John and Dean Solomon know, they learn from their father in home school. They move a little fast. They seem a little slow. Yes! And when it comes to women, they have a hard time getting it.
You ever like to go out for drinks, unwind after a long day?
No.
Nor do I.
Guess I don't understand the dating scene. Really is a mystery to me.
Now, to give their father something to live for,
He said he wished he could see his first grandchild.
they'll have to go
Make a baby for Dad!
where they've never gone before.
What do you say we get out of here, and I go put a baby in you? No strings attached. Are you ovulating right now?
This is our first date. That's none of your business.
I'm about to make it my business. Marry me.
No!
This summer,
I think we need to broaden our search. You do realize that adoption is a huge commitment. What is your return policy? Get out!
their family's future
Craigslist came through. Her name is Janine, and she totally wants to do it.
Which one of you two's having a baby with my girl?
I am.
is in their hands.
We're not expected to fill this whole thing.
Just do whatever you can.
Good. Kind of a big morning.
Being a dad is a big deal. You should be prepared. Spend some time around kids.
Hello, young lady. Want to go get some ice cream?
Yeah.
Great, let's go.
Jenny, come with mommy.
Can I ask you what you're doing here today? We're trying to coax that little girl into our car, but her mom's being a real pain in the...
Will Arnett and Will Forte.
Have you read any books about raising a child?
Cavemen didn't read any books.
The infant mortality rate back then was like 80%.
Pretty good.
80% died.
I went the other way with it.
The brothers Solomon.
That's the eye right there.
Should we be concerned that we only saw one eye?
I'm sure the other eye is fine.
So there's at least a small chance we're dealing with a Cyclops.
Saul Goodman, what the fuck are you doing? Like, Let's Go to Prison was a bad movie, but at least there was at least an idea of what they were trying to do in that movie. There were some funny moments in here, but this, oh my god, this is even worse than that. And I would say it's his fault as for directing this and writing this, but he didn't write this. This was Will Forte that wrote this, and Will Forte too. It's just like, how did you make this movie so unbearable on so many levels? Like, that trailer gives you every indication of why this movie has not held up well over time. Even back then, it didn't hold up well. But as you can see in this movie, Will Arnett and Will Forte are the brothers Solomon, and they set to find romantic partners so they can give their comatose father a grandchild. He was played by Lee Majors, and they find a donor in Kristen Wiig, and also her father, played by Chi McBride. You see Malin Ackerman there, you see Jenna Fisher, you see Casey Wilson. So there's a lot of talent here, and the end result is just such a disastrous mess of a movie that, like, nothing about these characters are likable in this movie. Will Arnett and Will Forte, like, you see it. Like, they come off as, like, entirely creeps in this movie. They're like the comedic version of the Menendez brothers, except unlike what they're doing now with the Menendez brothers, nobody wants to bang them. Nobody wants to, these are the type of brothers that would bang themselves in that type of a storyline here. Like, they would be in the next season of Monsters, and Ryan Murphy would have no trouble at all trying to form this incestuous relationship between these two brothers. That's how creepy these two are. And this is supposed to be meant as a lighthearted comedy, and it is anything but that, man. This movie is an abysmal mess of a movie that just fails right from the get-go. It's a movie that just does not hold up well over time, and in fact, it's gotten even more disturbing and more creepier as time has gone on. I have no idea what the hell these people were thinking when they made this movie. Everyone involved in this film, like, it's hard to believe this comes from a guy that has such a brilliant mind in Bob Odenkirk. I mean, the stuff he did with Mr. Show, like the stuff he did with Conan O'Brien, the stuff he's now done with, Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad. Like, this is what Bob Odenkirk's one of those great actors, good entertainers we have out there right now. And he was behind this movie. Like, Will Forte can be very funny, and he's behind this movie. I mean, Will Arnett has been on a lot of great stuff. He's behind this movie. Chi McBride, Kristen Wiig, Malin Ackerman, Jenna Fisher, Lee Majors, all have done great stuff in the past and present. They had their names attached to this. They saw this and said, no, we're willing to do this. And it just, nothing about this movie just is funny. Nothing about this movie is funny. It's creepy. It's creepy and not the way they intended. Like, there's nothing funny about this movie whatsoever. There's nothing inventive about this movie whatsoever. And just, I'm getting disgusted just thinking about this movie again. Like, this is a terrible movie, and one you should definitely avoid. Like, if you're forced to watch one of these two movies that Bob Odenkirk directed, easily say, watch Let's Go to Prison. And even that movie's not bad, but that one at least has some funny moments in it. That one's at least trying. This is not trying at all. This is obnoxious. This is crude. This is unfunny in every single level. Avoid this movie like the plague. This is one of the worst comedies you will ever see in your entire life, and it is definitely not held up well over time at all. Like, it hasn't not gotten funnier. It's gotten even creepier. It's gotten even stupider. It's such a disastrous mess of a movie. Avoid this movie like the plague. So with all that said, we wrap up this edition of Time About the Movies, and the next time we meet, we've got 6 movies overall to look at. We've got Jodie Foster starring in, believe it or not, the second Death Wish-inspired film of the month, because we had a Death Sentence a couple weeks ago, and now we have The Brave one, which I'll tell you right now is easily the better of the 2 movies, but isn't a good movie. We'll wait to see what happens next time around. We also have Sean William Scott starring with Billy Bob Thornton and Susan Sarandon in the comedy Mr. Woodcock, a movie that they were trying to push real hard for reasons that are beyond me, but they got Billy Gardell and Craig Robinson in it. Dragon Wars D-War, maybe one of the most underrated movies of the year across the universe. David Cronenberg's Eastern Promises with Viggo Mortensen, and also In the Valley of Elah starring Tommy Lee Jones. So 6 films overall to take a look at next time around. We will delve into all those movies coming up on the next episodes. I'm taking a look here to see if I'm missing anything else. I don't think I am. So yeah, we'll take a look at those 6 movies coming up on the next episode. But with all that said, thank you so much for watching, and if you want to see more videos like this, please go ahead and hit the playlist on the next page, check out the previous episode. Also, don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, notification button, and the bell, because you get updates on when new videos come out, and we do post new videos here every day. With all that said, though, I am off. I will see you guys next time, and until then, as always, take care.